So welcome back to another episode of Wren's Wasteland Camp Review / Dumpster Fires of the Commonwealth. So here we go. I'm going to find 3 camps on this server. This is Demona, by the way. She is on my alt account that I'm using. And I'm going to take a look around and see if I can find a... she's also a bloodied build. I'm going to try and find us 3 camps to go check out. She also had... Oh, hold on a second. Let me double check. Perks. I think she has that, but let's just make sure. Yep. Let's just go ahead and unequip this. And then we will equip something else down here. To try and keep myself from breaking into people's houses that don't want me to break into their houses. I guess I can go for endurance. And I can rank it up at least once. That way she'll get a few more hit points out of the deal. Alright. So, we're going to go ahead and take a look around here and see if we can find ourselves 3 camps on the map. So why did I take that off? Well, this is the character that is a pain in the ass to kill for most people. I don't know why. She's bloodied. But for some reason, she seems to deal more... Well, she's built in such a way that she doesn't take as much damage, I guess. I'm not exactly 100% sure. I have this weird situation where she's not really built any specific way. She's a bloodied build, and she's built to be a rifleman / sniper. But she is not, and she's got stealth perks, but she is not built to survive in any particular way. It just seems people have a hard time shooting her. And I don't know if that's because they can't aim or what, but it is convolutedly painful to have somebody try and shoot at her. So we're going to jump over here to Phantom Heart 98's camp, which may or may not be here whenever we get there, because as you can see, the person is sitting there at their camp. They might just be on to offload some of the crap in their inventory, or they might be finishing up from doing dailies or events. Or it could be a trap camp. That's the other option. Or they could be building it. But let's take a look here. So the upper section is the Mistress of Mysteries thing, and that should be still in the workshop, in the atomic shop as of this point of recording. They tried to throw down some support structures, but they aren't done with that yet, or they're still building this camp. And the posts just don't quite reach. Either that, or they're saying that they put them down and the ground moved off from under them over the years, and they're just not there. I think it's more along the lines they aren't done building it. Let's take a quick peek here. I'm going to buy these 2 because I don't have them on her. Their prices aren't really great. They aren't really bad either. They're kind of average, mediocre. Some of them are really good. Some of them are really bad. It's kind of the way it works with everybody in this game when it comes to buying and selling their crap. I like the fact that they have the 2 couches out around the little fire for the cooking station. And they've got the tree that's right there. I like the general layout of the house as far as the design goes, choices wise. But like, see this right here, don't like. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I would probably, if I was going to build this place, it's not a bad build as far as like building a house. It is a bad build in the fact that they don't have any freaking roof. They're still working on it, as you can see. I'm going to shift to audio output area. Oh boy, dude. So you still working on your house or trying to figure out what you're doing with it or what? Can you hear me? Yeah, I guess they are. So this is obviously a work in progress, and I don't rate works in progress. I work. Um, right now, I could only give this a 2 because it's not really done yet. And I'm not sure exactly what they're going to wind up doing with it. Oh well, good luck. I'll move along and see what else I can do. This is 10 pennies camp. I bought 2 plans out of that person's vendor because it's plans I didn't have, and because I have a lot of caps on this character. Demona is kind of my build character on this profile. This is my Norris profile. She's kind of the one that I'm trying to get all the plans on this one. I have another on my Wryne thing. I'm trying to get all the plans for I hate it when people do this. My God, just use the longer stairs if you're going to do this. And if you live somewhere where there's ground, and you don't have to do this, don't do this. This is just, this whole thing right here that I'm standing on right now is just a waste of budget. Totally a waste of budget. Oh man, I like the fact that this place is built here. I like the area that it's built in. I don't like the fact that the bears are just down over there. You can get 2 little bears that'll come up here and wreck your shit. And if you're going to do this, do it with the stone foundation stairs. Because it looks better. It's cleaner look. This is 10 pennies camp. 10 pennies camp is got a bunch of crap in it on sale like everybody else in this game. We all have our things. There's apparently is magazines and a few odds and end plans that aren't really priced badly. Some of them are priced really well, and some of them just kind of question why in the hell you'd even bother to keep them. But I get it. So you got the bottom floor is their workroom slash living room slash kitchen. Um, they have a game room up here, which is in their transitionary staircase. And they go up into this other area over here, which is their bedroom slash collection room slash followers bedroom. So this is the followers bed. Well, unless they're sleeping with him, it's a double bed. That is possible. I mean, I don't know that I would particularly want to sleep with him. I mean, I'm just saying the odor is bad enough whenever you think about sleeping with anybody, and then on top of it, you get a ghoul. My God, the man could be living bits and pieces of himself in your bed at night. And I'm not talking about skin flakes. I'm talking like, digits. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Oh, boy. So I rate camps on a scale of 1 to 10. I give you 1 point if you have a bathroom. I give you 2 points if you have a prefab that you're using. If you have none of those things, I give you none of those points. Although there are some exceptions that I will give out points for based solely on decoration, design choices, and whatnot. This camp is fine up until you get to this part right here, which is basically a floating section with absolutely no support on it. They would be better off if they would have used real foundations back here and just stuck a real foundation in to fill in this gap. But they probably, the player, I mean, doesn't know how to do that. It's not that hard to do, but it is for some people, and I get that. But there's a couple places that, like, this corner, or they could have stuck in the steel post that the other camp had that they were working on, that we were just at, where he was, putting in post, or they were putting in post. Can't say if it's a he or a she, to be honest. We're putting in the post to act as faux supports for a floating piece of camp that they were trying to make look legit, which, that's about the best thing you can do to make your camps look more realistic. Now, this camp here doesn't have a bathroom, doesn't have, I mean, it's got a neat effect. The snow is cool. I know everybody loves the snow effect. I personally don't. I personally kind of hate the snow effect because it kind of takes away from what I'm looking at. Because I'm paying more attention to the snow than I am to the actual camp. But I don't like the fact that this thing has so many floating foundations. I don't like the fact that it has such a big floating back end. And don't get me wrong, I like things with a floating back. I mean, I like girls with a big... never mind. Anyway, we're going to go on from that and move into the fact that this camp is getting a... I'm only going to give it a 3. I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to be. It's not a house. It's not a warehouse. It's not a farm. It's not a winter wonderland as much as they're trying to make it, and it's not really built well. I mean, it's built, but it's not built. I don't know how to put it other than my child can do better. My child doesn't play this game anymore. That is both the best and worst criticism I can give. So, moving right along. Yeah, definitely a 3. We'll go over here to Kipling's camp and check it out. I'm trying to stay in a tight quadrant of camps because I like the idea of getting all my camps in a similar location if I can, so that I can get similar weather patterns and similar lighting. But, you know, that's changed with the advent of the, look, it's a snow machine. Okay, so this is effectively just a warehouse. Maybe it's been attacked and maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's finished and maybe it isn't. It's like they want to put the garage doors in, but they haven't quite got them figured out. They don't quite fit the way they want them to. I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not the one evaluating naughtiness levels. By the way, that was a very good price for that, given the fact that I don't have it. But not a bad little camp. It's not a good little camp either. I'm going to find us one more. I'm only going to give this one a 2. Because it's just not... It's like it's partially done and partially not. In here is done. This is obviously not. They've got their stairwells getting up to the top level. And I don't know, man. It's like, it's definitely a 2. It just doesn't feel right to give it anything more than that. I'm not even going to say it has potential. It doesn't even... I don't know what it has, but it's not potential. So we'll go ahead and jump from here to another camp. Let's see, that one right there should do. And while I'm at this camp, I will activate my other camp that I'm working on this character, and I will show you where I'm building and what's going on with it. And I will complain about some problems that exist in the build system, so that you can understand the frustration of people that are crazy like me, and try and build things in a certain way, and have to fight, and burn the build system to the ground to get their stuff to work the way they want to. So this is mainly built with the Mistress of Mysteries pack, and a few of the Um, glass walls from the second of the, what is that pack called? Greenhouse pack, but it has a specific, I want to say there's a regular greenhouse and a rustic greenhouse. And I think this one's from the rustic greenhouse. It's the one with the windows that open up in the walls. Or at least, they kind of fake it by making, have multiple walls. It's kind of, this is on a resource node, so it's meant to be a resource camp. It's not meant to be a home or anything else like that. It's meant to come in, buy supplies, sell supplies, do your dailies, get your stuff out there, maybe buy a couple other things while you're floating around from somebody else. None of the pricing is really particularly bad. I like this door, but I don't like this door at the same time because it's kind of a pain. And I like fireplaces, but I prefer them to actually have the full fireplace if they're going to put one of these in, or to at least put a roof above it to make it look like it's cut off. But I get that. Not everybody thinks that way, and not everybody feels that way. Look at that over there. Are you seeing that? The lightning. I love the way the environmental stuff is done in this game. I do not like some of the other stuff. And they obviously have multiple sets of build items and have been here for multiple items to have appeared in the atomic shop. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't bother to put up any kind of wallpaper on the inside of these walls. My best bet is that they probably thought it would interfere with their windows or the something like that, but it would just make it look a little better. I mean, they used wallpaper out here on this section that they built, so. And if you're going to use that kind of wallpaper, you might as well carry it through because it is brick, and brick needs support, so you might as well go ahead and have the rest of the brick underneath it to make it look like it's supported. And this place looks cool, but I think the quantity of glass in the upper section kind of takes away from the way it looks in general. And I know that the Mistress of Mysteries pack has some really cool looking half wall designs that you can put in there to offset like windows and things like that. So it just strikes me as kind of odd to put in that many pieces of glass unless you're trying to supplement your lights, which you can do, but then if you're doing that, why put what lights in it anyway? And then you come out here and you've got a few musical instruments, a few water collections, of course the arbitrary, bullet farm and adhesive farm and everything else. It's just, I don't know. It's not a bad build. It actually looks pretty good for what it is. They have the same problem that a lot of builders do, where they just, I've got extra budget, let's just throw out a couple planters. Don't do that unless you actually have a good reason for them. And I like the fact that things are like they've got the gun up here because they know this is the side that most of the stuff spawns on. It's pretty easy to figure out, by the way. And yes, I could hear that from here, the crunching sound of the dog, and I can hear the mole rat over there still. That's the other thing. If you're going to bother to put out turrets, don't just put out one, and don't just put them on one side, because no matter what, whenever stuff spawns in, it usually spawns in relation to where your camp module was originally placed. So if you placed it here originally, then you might as well go ahead and figure on putting out a couple extra turrets. And if you're going to do this, why bother doing the boxes up there? Save yourself the budget, put out an extra turret over here on the platform, like right about here. It would be my suggestion so that it covers for anything coming in. Alright, so this is Serdik's camp? Serdika's camp? Sierdik. It's a warehouse. It does exactly what it's supposed to be doing. I'm only giving it a 4. Not because it's not well built, it doesn't look halfway decent, but because it doesn't really have a general theme and purpose other than to gather resources. It's kind of what it's built for. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not creative enough to be anything more than that, unfortunately. But it is, you know, decently put together. So, I'm going to open up this camp up here, which is where I typically like to build at, up on the top of the cliff, over by Crosshair. And this is I've got it labeled as tower, but it's a cabin that I've been working on. I'm going to show you guys it. Since I did open up the build thing for the contest, I figured I'd go ahead and show you something that is sort of what I mean. Okay, this thing used the cabin as a marker, and I'm in the process of still building it, so I've got some things out that aren't going to be there when it's done. Like, I have my floating platform here because I was trying to figure out what was going on with these foundations and why it was working the way it was, and I'll explain that in just a second. So, let me see here. We're going to go up in here, and my idea is that you land up here like I did whenever you first come in. You come up these stairs, you go in here, and this is a cabin that somebody has up here. And up here is probably a loft, like bedroom or whatnot. And then over here is a bathroom. Somebody dropped some logs in there, man. This would have been the kitchen. And that would have been it originally. But because this character, the way she operates is, she's my build challenges character on this particular setup. So what I'm doing is I built out this platform here, and then I'm going to place a stairwell in here to get down to this. Now I can't decide if I'm going to, and that's the problem you just saw right there. See, whenever you get too close to one of these foundations, even if you don't have a set of stairs on it, the foundation likes to pretend it does. And because of the way the foundations work, whenever you put down certain items near each other, like for instance, I have this foundation here, and then I glitched another one in underneath it. And this is so I can build, well, effectively what I want to build in here is kind of a big fireplace, and set it up to where this side over here has this huge fireplace that's burning. But I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to make it work. I am building in a location, and I'll show you the location again, that there's nobody builds up here but me, pretty much, just so you know, at least on PC. This is one of those locations that is kind of a not so easy to get to location. I'm going to go ahead and activate one of my other camps so I can show you what I mean. I'll activate this one here, Hillcrest, which should activate without a problem. And I can tell you why it activates without a problem after I get done with this. So, this location is up here on top of the cliff. You can get here without a problem. As long as you have a jetpack or power armor with a jetpack, you can get up here without too much of an issue. The other option is to go down to one of the lower levels below us, and there are quite a few. One of the popular building areas in the game is right here. which is the only reason why this camp doesn't ever spawn in, is because this area down here, which is, that's Hemlock Holes, that's Clancy Manor, this is the Crosshair. I'm up above the Crosshair on a cliff. The Crosshair is actually over here. You're technically overlooking it. This cliff is above and behind the Crosshair that I'm looking at. Now, the benefit to this area is, like I said, hardly anybody ever is in this area to build at. Problem with it is this right here, and I'll show you. My character, put away the gun, spin this around, see her feet, how they're gone? That's because Bethesda did not nav mesh all of these stones exactly the same, because what they did with some of them is, and the reason why they look this way is, they took much smaller stones and expanded them to fill in gaps in their placements. Where they needed a large rock, for instance, they just grabbed one and expanded it out. This is technically as far up on the map as you can go before you hit the wall in this region. This is the invisible wall that prevents you from going outside of the map to the north, which I wish I would have recorded when I could have done. But back up in that area, there are large swaths of trees, and I mean like the large, gigantic looking trees that are just like amazing in game that you find that Bethesda doesn't put down too many of in the main game, but they use them in the back as filler for the backgrounds and things like that. But because of the way this is nav meshed up here, it causes its own set of issues. So placing something directly on this area is hard to do. So I have to pretty much place something on something like this, which has a little bit better nav meshing, and then work my way into these areas to make sure that things go the way that I want them to. Now, on the lower level down here, not as big a deal. This thing's actually nav meshed out pretty well. But I tend to build up there and then wrap it down into this area to give myself more room. And also because I'm building for a view. I'm not just building for, a building. And if you build like I do, and you're trying to build something for a view, or you're trying to build something for a specific look, keep in mind what your end product is going to be. Now, that building that I just showed you, I have no idea what I'm actually building there. I know it's a cabin. It's always going to be a cabin. But I'm not exactly sure what kind of cabin it's going to be until it's completely done, because I'm literally using build challenges to lay down the materials. Like when it says build, 5 floors, or when it says build 5 walls, or when it says build 5, whatever. I'm doing that as part of my building in this instance. So you wind up with weird structures. Now, that being said, something here, placed here, has roughly 10 floors, or 10 levels that you can build on. What do I mean by that? Well, if this is level 1 up here, up the top of this thing is level 1, right? I can go down 1 level, and this is a level and a half, by the way. I can go up a level, and I can go up from that first point of putting down my camp module. I can go up and down exactly 5 levels in either direction. The way the camp system works in this game is, it's not a circle like you see on the ground. You see the circle because of the ground. It's a dome. It's round. It goes up and down 5 levels. That's the reason why some people build underground and they get to a certain point and they kind of tap out and they're like, how do I go deeper? Well, you can't. You got 5 levels. Where you started is always where you're going to be at, unless you want to finagle something, which can be done, but it's stupid and I don't advise it. Now, I have a few really cool camp locations that I like to build at that not many people do, and not many people actually show their camp locations all the time. Usually builders like to build in locations that are flat. I almost never build in locations that are flat, because I think they're kind of boring. My whole thing is overcoming the issue that the terrain actually presents. Not trying to build under it, but only trying to build up above it. Or in some cases, way up above it whenever I'm trying to float a camp, which I've done, and it's a pain in the butt. I don't not recommend it, but just remember the height restrictions you're working with. That's all I'm going to say in that regard. So my other camp over here that came into being and is right here next to this camp, which is Earring Imp's camp. We'll go over to it. This is Hillcrest. Now this is my camp that is built on the side of the wall of this location, and I'll explain it when we get there. So here we are on top. This is the upper location. Okay. Give it a minute to move in. We'll go over here and check out Earring's camp, which should be right over here at this location. So this is a popular location for most builders to build in, for most players. They seem to like working within the confines that this structure actually gives them. I don't know why my game's not loading in yet, but we shall see. I'll just walk away back over here. Might be on a server that's kind of dying out. Yep, I'm on a server that's kind of dying out. Because my camp's not loading in and that one's not either. I'll just try this one more time and see if I can get this to go. Yep. Well, it went. Server totally crashed. Well, at least my game totally crashed. Which is to be expected whenever you're doing this kind of stuff. So, anyway, what's going on here is this camp is actually built on the side of that cliff, and it goes down on the side of it, while the other camp goes up. Their borders are close, but they don't meet exactly, and because it's, like I said, a dome, because this camp is built lower down, the other one can be built closer to it, because the two intersecting domes do not come near each other. Or the spheres, I suppose. It's kind of like, yeah, spheres. It's like two marbles, you know, one and the other, just slightly offset. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a brief explanation of the build system to try and help you out with the camps that you'll hopefully be building. And again, there is a contest. I did post it on the 1st. You have till the 29th of February to get it done. It's leap year, so I can say that for a change. You guys have a good time, and I'm sorry that I'm ending on a camp screen. See you later.